Sugar Ray Robinson is standing in the principal's office of Detroit's most prestigious private school, holding his 6-year-old son's hand, when the principal looks at the boy and says, "This school isn't for him." What happens in the next 2 hours doesn't just change one child's education. It changes how an entire community thinks about the American dream and who gets to pursue it. Detroit, Michigan, August 28, 1957. Tuesday morning, 9:30 a.m. Whitmore Academy sits on 15 manicured acres in Grosse Pointe, Detroit's wealthiest suburb. Georgian brick buildings connected by tree-lined walkways, ivy climbing century-old walls, tennis courts, swimming pool, science laboratories that rival universities. This is where Detroit's elites send their children to receive the finest education money can buy, where your child's future gets determined not just by aptitude, but by ancestry. Robinson Jr., called Ray Ray by family, stands quietly beside his father, wearing his best clothes: navy blazer, white shirt, red tie, freshly polished shoes. At 6 years old, he already shows signs of his father's intelligence and discipline. Straight A's in public school, advanced reading level, natural leadership among his peers. But none of that matters today. Today only his skin color matters. Principal Margaret Whitfield examines the application materials spread across her mahogany desk. 58 years old, 30 years in private education, expert at maintaining Whitmore's standards while managing delicate family situations. The boy's test scores are exceptional. His previous school records are flawless. His father's financial resources are unlimited. But there's a problem that transcends academics and economics. In Whitfield's mind, maintaining Whitmore Academy's reputation requires careful student selection, not just academic excellence, but social compatibility, alumni connections, family backgrounds that align with institutional values. And those values, though never stated explicitly, have always assumed a certain demographic composition. "Mr. Robinson," Whitfield says, reviewing the application with practiced professionalism, "your son's academic credentials are certainly impressive. Top percentile in all categories. Very unusual for someone his age." Can you imagine the pride swelling in Robinson's chest? His son excelling academically, proving that intelligence and hard work transcend racial barriers. "Ray Ray is special," Robinson says, placing a protective hand on his son's shoulder. "He reads at a 4th grade level, loves mathematics and science. His teachers say he has exceptional potential." Whitfield nods politely, but her expression remains reserved. Academic ability isn't the issue here. The issue is social integration. Alumni comfort levels, board member expectations, parents who pay premium tuition fees in exchange for certain assurances about their children's educational environment. "Mr. Robinson, Whitmore Academy prides itself on maintaining a specific educational philosophy. Our curriculum is designed around particular cultural foundations, traditional approaches that may not align with every student's background and learning style." Cultural foundations, traditional approaches. The euphemisms pile up like autumn leaves, covering the ugly truth underneath. Young Ray Ray looks up at his father, sensing tension, but not understanding its source. In his 6-year-old mind, school is where you learn and make friends. He's excited about advanced classes, science experiments, making new friends who love reading as much as he does. "What cultural foundations?" Robinson asks quietly. "Reading, writing, arithmetic, critical thinking, scientific method? What educational philosophy excludes children based on their background?" The directness catches Whitfield off guard. Usually parents accept the explanation, understand the implications, look elsewhere for their children's education. But Robinson is forcing her to defend policies that sound reasonable in board meetings, but horrific when stated publicly. Picture the tension building in that paneled office, a father fighting for his son's future against institutional barriers designed to limit that future based on race. "Mr. Robinson," Whitfield continues, choosing her words carefully, "Whitmore serves a specific community, families with shared values and expectations. Your son might find it difficult to integrate socially, might feel isolated among our student body." Isolated. The word hangs in the air like incense, as if racial isolation is something that happens naturally, instead of something institutions create deliberately. "You mean he'd be isolated because he's black?" Robinson says. "Not because of his personality or academic ability, because of his race." Ray Ray tugs on his father's jacket. "Daddy, what does isolated mean?" Robinson kneels down to his son's level. "It means alone, son. Some people think you'd be alone here because you're different from other children. But I like making friends," Ray Ray says innocently. "I made lots of friends at Jefferson Elementary." The simple honesty of a child's response cuts through institutional justifications like a sword. This boy wants to learn, wants to make friends, wants to use his obvious intelligence in the best possible educational environment, and he's being excluded because adults have decided his skin color matters more than his character. But what Whitfield doesn't realize is that she's not just denying education to Sugar Ray Robinson's son, she's challenging Robinson's understanding of what American opportunity really means for successful black families. Mrs. Whitfield, Robinson says, standing back up, let me ask you something. If Ray Ray were white with identical test scores and family income, would you have concerns about his social integration? Silence. Heavy, uncomfortable silence. The question exposes the racial mathematics underlying Whitfield's concerns. Mr. Robinson, this isn't about race. It's about institutional fit, academic philosophy, cultural alignment. Cultural alignment, Robinson interrupts. My son was born in Detroit. He's an American citizen. He speaks perfect English, excels academically, comes from a stable family with unlimited financial resources. What culture doesn't he align with? The question forces Whitfield to confront what everyone in that office knows but doesn't want to acknowledge. Ray Ray doesn't align with one thing, the assumption that Whitmore Academy is for white children only. Other staff members begin gathering outside the office. Word has spread that Sugar Ray Robinson is meeting with the principal. Some recognize the famous boxer. Others wonder why a black family is touring the school. Everyone senses something significant happening. Can you feel the weight of this moment? A father watching his brilliant son's educational opportunities being limited by the same prejudices that never stopped Robinson in the boxing ring. Mrs. Whitfield, Robinson continues, I'm going to tell you something. Ray Ray scored in the 99th percentile on every academic assessment. His IQ tests show exceptional ability. His teachers call him gifted, but you're suggesting he can't handle the academic rigor here because of cultural differences. What you really mean is that his presence might make white families uncomfortable. The accusation hangs in the air like smoke, stripping away euphemisms and exposing the raw truth about exclusionary policies. Whitfield glances nervously at the gathering staff outside her office. This conversation is becoming public. Parents dropping off children are starting to notice. Board members might hear about confrontations in the principal's office. Mr. Robinson, perhaps there are other educational options better suited to your son's specific needs. His specific needs? Robinson's voice rises slightly. You mean his need to be educated among children who look like him, his need to accept inferior educational resources because superior ones are reserved for white children. Ray Ray looks confused and increasingly upset. He doesn't understand the adult conversation, but he senses his father's growing frustration, senses that something is wrong with this place he hoped would become his new school. Daddy, Ray Ray whispers, don't they want me here? The simple question breaks Robinson's heart and steals his resolve simultaneously. His son, brilliant, eager, innocent, is learning that American society places limits on his potential, based on nothing but skin color. This is where everything changes, where paternal love meets institutional racism, where the American dream collides with American reality. Mrs. Whitfield, Robinson says, his voice gaining the authority he uses to command boxing rings. I'm going to make this very simple. My son has exceptional academic ability. I have unlimited financial resources. I want the best possible education for my child. You run the best school in Detroit. What exactly prevents this arrangement? The question cuts to the core of American hypocrisy. Merit-based opportunity that stops functioning when merit comes in the wrong skin color. Whitfield realizes she's been backed into a corner by Robinson's relentless logic. She can't admit racial exclusion policies, can't defend academic concerns when Ray Ray's scores exceed most current students, can't claim financial barriers when Robinson's wealth surpasses most families. But then something unexpected happens. Dr. James Harrison, Whitmore's head of academics, enters the office. 45 years old, Harvard PhD, 20 years developing gifted education programs. He's been listening from the hallway and recognizes something important happening. Excuse me, Harrison interrupts. I couldn't help overhearing your discussion about academic placement. Are you talking about the young man who scored 99th percentile across all assessment categories? Whitfield nods reluctantly. I've reviewed those test results, Harrison continues. Most exceptional scores I've seen in 15 years. This child needs advanced academic programming immediately. His intellectual development is being stunted in conventional classroom settings. The academic authority adds weight to Robinson's argument. This isn't just a father demanding access. This is an educator identifying genuine academic need. Dr. Harrison, Whitfield says carefully, we were discussing various educational options that might better serve this student's cultural and social needs. Harrison looks confused. Cultural needs? Mrs. Whitfield, intellectual giftedness transcends cultural boundaries. This child needs academic challenge regardless of his background. We have a moral and professional obligation to serve exceptional students. Can you imagine the power of that moment? An educator choosing academic mission over racial prejudice. Robinson seizes the opening. Dr. Harrison, My son loves learning. He reads constantly, asks endless questions about science and mathematics, shows natural leadership skills. I want him challenged academically. I want him surrounded by other bright children who will inspire him to reach his potential. That's exactly what gifted education provides, Harrison responds. Intellectual peer groups, advanced curriculum, academic challenge that matches ability level. The conversation has shifted from racial barriers to educational philosophy, from exclusion to inclusion, from cultural concerns to academic potential. But Whitfield isn't finished fighting institutional precedent. Dr. Harrison, we must consider the broader implications of enrollment decisions, alumni relations, parent comfort levels, institutional culture. Institutional culture, Harrison interrupts. Our institutional culture is academic excellence. This child represents the highest level of academic potential. Excluding him compromises everything we claim to value educationally. The confrontation between educational mission and social prejudice plays out in front of Ray Ray, who watches adults argue about his future without fully understanding the stakes. Robinson kneels down again beside his son. Ray Ray, these adults are trying to decide if you're smart enough for this school. What do you think? I know I'm smart, Daddy, Ray Ray says with 6-year-old confidence. I read chapter books. I know multiplication tables. I can do science experiments. I want to learn more. The innocent certainty of childhood cuts through adult prejudices, like sunlight through fog. This boy knows he's intelligent, knows he loves learning, knows he belongs wherever education is valued. Harrison smiles at Ray Ray's response. Young man, what's your favorite subject? Science. Ray Ray answers immediately. I want to know how everything works. Why do airplanes fly? How do rockets go to space? Why do plants grow toward the sun? Those are excellent questions, Harrison says. We have advanced science programs that explore exactly those topics, with laboratory equipment and field trips and guest speakers from universities. Ray Ray's eyes light up with excitement. This is what he wants. Advanced learning, scientific exploration, academic challenges that match his curiosity. Robinson stands back up. Mrs. Whitfield, you've heard from your head of academics. You've seen my son's test scores. You've met him personally. What prevents his enrollment? The pressure becomes overwhelming. Academic justification supports enrollment. Financial resources aren't barriers. The child himself demonstrates exceptional ability and eagerness to learn. But institutional precedent and social expectations create powerful resistance to change. Mr. Robinson, Whitfield says finally, enrollment decisions require board approval, multiple committee reviews, community input sessions. These processes take time. How much time? Robinson asks. Several months. Perhaps a full academic year. A full year. Robinson's voice carries disbelief. You need a year to decide whether to educate a gifted 6-year-old? The delay tactic becomes obvious. Extended processes designed to discourage applications from unwanted demographic groups. Bureaucratic barriers that don't apply to white families with similar qualifications. Dr. Harrison looks uncomfortable with the delay suggestion. Mrs. Whitfield, gifted children can't wait for bureaucratic processes. Every month of delayed academic challenge represents permanent developmental loss. This child needs appropriate programming immediately. The educational urgency argument adds pressure to institutional stalling tactics. Robinson realizes he needs to apply different pressure, not just academic arguments, but economic and social leverage. Mrs. Whitfield, let me explain something. I'm prepared to make significant financial contributions to Whitmore Academy, building improvements, equipment upgrades, scholarship funds, investments that benefit all students. But those contributions depend on this institution demonstrating commitment to educational excellence over social prejudice. The economic leverage creates new calculations, major donations versus social disruption, financial benefits versus demographic change. But Robinson isn't finished applying pressure. I'm also prepared to discuss Whitmore's admissions policies publicly. Sports reporters ask me about everything. Community organizations invite me to speak regularly. People are interested in how successful Black families navigate educational opportunities for their children. The public relations implications add another layer of pressure. Negative publicity about excluding gifted minority children could damage institutional reputation permanently. Harrison supports Robinson's position. Mrs. Whitfield, this enrollment decision reflects our institutional values. Are we committed to academic excellence or demographic exclusion? Those can't coexist indefinitely. The internal pressure from academic staff adds weight to external pressure from Robinson's economic and social leverage. Whitfield realizes she faces institutional crisis. Enroll Ray Ray and face alumni complaints about demographic change. Exclude him and face public criticism about discriminatory policies. Either decision creates problems. But community pressure begins building in Robinson's favor. Word spreads through Detroit's professional community about the confrontation at Whitmore. Black professionals who want educational opportunities for their children, white professionals who believe merit should transcend racial barriers. Local newspapers begin investigating Whitmore's admissions policies. How many black students have applied? How many have been enrolled? What criteria determine acceptance beyond academic ability? The public scrutiny creates additional pressure for institutional change. After 2 hours of discussion and community pressure, Whitfield makes the only decision possible. Mr. Robinson, given your son's exceptional qualifications and Dr. Harrison's recommendation, we'll expedite enrollment. Ray begins next week. The victory represents more than one child's education. It proves institutional barriers can be overcome when merit meets persistence. Ray doesn't understand the historical significance. He's excited about advanced science classes and new learning friends. Robinson understands completely. His son will receive the best education available. He'll grow up believing American opportunity applies to everyone with ability. Within 2 years, Whitmore actively recruits gifted minority students. Academic excellence requires diverse talent pools. Ray excels at Whitmore, graduating as valedictorian. His success validates every argument Robinson made about merit transcending race. Robinson understood something powerful that morning. Sometimes the most important fights aren't in boxing rings. They're where children's futures get determined by adult prejudices. The victory wasn't about one child's education. It proved American opportunity must extend to everyone with ability and determination. Think about barriers facing children in your community. Educational limitations based on demographics rather than ability. Because 2 hours of fighting for your child's future can change institutional cultures, can prove merit matters more than demographics.